Does atheism actually take more faith than being a theist? Well, I heard this sort of argument, or it's not really an argument, statement rather, from, I guess, apologetics, And let's be clear, apologetics, as amazing people as they are, most of them know little to nothing about atheism for some reason. And if they claim they do, a lot of times they have inaccurate or incorrect ideas about, atheism. I also hear this in response to agnosticism or, saying I don't know, which is usually present in, I guess, science, right? When there's something we can't explain, a lot of times atheists or agnostics will just say, I don't know until further proof, or until we can identify it and actually know about it. Let's give an example. I often hear a lot of apologetics say that while atheists may have morality, atheists can't justify morality. You can't justify why you shouldn't kill or rape someone. One, I disagree because, everyone does have morality, but if your justification as to why you're being a moral person is because you're afraid of divine punishment, then you're basically a psychopath on a leash. I'm sorry. Secondly, now we know that morality, or I guess this thing we call morality, is actually a product of millions of years of psychological evolution. Before, we didn't know why it was that why it was there was lightning and thunder. We used to think it was a sign of God's wrath. Well, it's a giant spark of electricity in the atmosphere caused by an electric discharge. So, back to the original question, does atheism actually take more faith? So, the nature of this statement is usually something to combat. As I said before, you want theist or apologetics would love to combat atheism and agnosticism. You see, some theists may say, "Oh, how could you have faith in something that isn't proven, something that you're not even 100% sure of?" I mean, you may be sure of it, but there's no conclusive proof of it. You're trusting in something that isn't proven. That's usually the definition of faith, right? So, a lot of atheists may say that to theists, and of course, theists who came up with this argument would say, "Well, you don't know everything. I mean, you can't trace what was before the Big Bang, or there's certain missing transitional, I guess, species, which that may be true, but we've discovered enough to know that yes, transition species are a real thing." But that's besides the point, right? There's a lot of stuff that we don't have a conclusive answer to yet, and a lot of times atheists or agnostics would just say, "We don't know." And saying "I don't know" for some reason has become, I guess, shameful for these people, right? Maybe it's because they're used to being certain that, oh, it's God. It's the miraculous wonders of a God. Well, I hate to break it to you, but just because you can't comprehend, or just because one can't comprehend, or one doesn't know something, it doesn't mean that an almighty deity was the one behind it, alright? It's okay to say that you don't know. It's okay to not know. It is okay to say you don't know for now until better reason or proof has been shown. Let's normalize that, please. So, in order to answer, does saying "I don't know" and hoping that one day we'll find the answer, does that take more faith than just saying "I believe an almighty deity"? I mean, I don't know which one among the many religions, but let's say theoretically, an almighty deity is responsible for this. So does it actually take more faith to say "I don't know"? We'll figure it out in the future, hoping that you'll know in the future, or just saying it's God. So first, let's define what even is faith. Well, simply Googling the word faith means complete trust or confidence in something or someone. To have faith in something or someone means that you put all your trust into that thing or person. This is why religions are called faiths as well, because, well, you're trusting in the system. Well, not necessarily the system, but you're trusting in this belief system. I guess it is a system after all, but you're trusting in this belief. You're trusting in whatever doctrine this is. You're putting your trust and all that in that thing. Jesus, I could have explained that better. I'm sorry. So, does being agnostic to something show that you have a strong conviction or faith, right? Does it fall under faith? Well, I guess by definition, yeah, because you're trusting that one day, you're trusting in humanity, you're trusting in other people, you're trusting in people of science that one day they'll find out. Now when theists hear this, it's like,
Got it!
because, you know, theists believe that we shouldn't trust humanity, we should trust only God. I mean, granted, there's no proof, but we gotta trust in something we consider a higher being, right? Well, on the flip side, you're uh, you're not necessarily trusting in humanity. You're not necessarily trusting in humans per se. You're trusting that the explanation for something unknown or something that cannot be described at the moment has an explanation, and it just so happened that that explanation does not include an almighty deity who currently we have no proof of, or we have no conclusive proof of. So you're more or less trusting that the definition is out there, that we will know. You're not necessarily trusting in humanity to find that. You're just trusting that there is a, not necessarily reason, but there is an answer. See, theists are trusting in only one answer as the truth, right? It's God. It's an almighty deity. That's the answer. That's the reason. And that almighty deity is the one who gave you reason. Well, that's a little more philosophy based, but you get the point, right? Meanwhile, atheists or agnostics would I guess rather have the idea, or would rather say that, well, what's your evidence? Can you prove it? I won't trust this specific proof until it's proven. Yes, I am hoping that I will get the answer, but I don't have faith that this specific idea you presented is the correct one, unless, of course, there's proof of it. So, I guess, in a way, no, atheism doesn't actually take more faith. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of atheists are called faithless. The only reason this gets brought up, the whole atheism takes more faith, is to criticize atheism, which doesn't even work. Or I guess better yet, it's more used as something, a statement against atheists who say that, who don't like or appeal to the idea of faith or having faith. So I guess this idea of atheism takes more faith, it's more of a rhetoric against atheists don't who say they don't have faith. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. You see, if you have faith, as it is called, you're being biased to just one explanation, and that is, it's God, right? I mean, granted, there could be multiple explanations, but it's still all under God, under one giant cloud of reason, basically. So no doubt you're going to be biased towards that one explanation because you have faith that this is the right one. This explanation, this reason here that I have faith in, is above criticism, right? And when you look at, let's say, science, well, scientific papers get criticized all the time. It's the reason why studies change. It's the reason why the things we know change from time to time. So I guess I'll think of a small example off the top of my head. I guess the 2014 study, right? If the 2014 study rather of, I don't know, the Spinosaurus, right? Very controversial creature. If that 2014 study wasn't criticized, we wouldn't know what we know in 2018. And if that 2018 study wasn't criticized, or I guess if people had faith that, this 2018 study of mostly bipedal Spinosaurus was the right one, right? If they had faith that this is the one, no more changing it, then we wouldn't know that, well, Spinosaurus is actually like this, like the 2020 study, for example, right? So, no, the argument that atheism takes more faith, it's not. So I guess there's no reason to call atheism a belief system, because being an atheist means you don't have a belief system, or you don't go under any certain belief system. So I guess that's my answer to that. If I'm wrong, let me know, and that's all I have to say. Oh, and I would like to add that faith does not just exclusively mean that you believe in things that have no proof. Because unfortunately, in the world today, and this is very unfortunate, proof is for some reason relative. There are certain things that people find as proof, confirmation bias, and there are certain things that people don't find as proof. So I just wanted to clarify that. Oh, and also the whole what if you're wrong argument doesn't work because, well, if we're being because science just goes by evidence present, and evidence is and discovery of evidence changes, right? The next day we might discover evidence for the flying spaghetti monster or the cosmic teapot, right? We might find evidences for those, but for now we don't, and that's the reason why we don't believe in it. You see, I don't believe there is no God. I simply don't believe in God.